Louis Patron back with the final segment of the Key West Legal Hour. When we went to break, I was talking about some statistics and data that came out that show we put a lot of people in jail. We're putting someone in jail, or we're making an arrest, I'm sorry, every 2 seconds in this country. We got about 12 million crimes a year being committed, of which only 500,000 are for felony, serious crimes. The rest are garbage, they're misdemeanors, and turns out 82% of that 11 million something, 82%, a big number, you're talking about 9.5 million, 10 million, are for drug-related possession things, not even selling, possession, of which half of them basically are for having pot in your pocket or something, a pipe in the car with a little residue, a joint on you, a quarter or a half an ounce in a package in your pocket. And we put people in jail for these small crimes. Fine, we're going to defeat drugs just like they defeated booze back in the 20s and 30s. It didn't work, prohibition, and this doesn't work. Marijuana, for example, has just been legalized in Colorado. I'm telling you, in 5 to 10 years, in 10 years definitely, it's going to be legal in every state in the union. Because they can make money off of it, our state governments and our federal government. You make them, you sell them, and you tax them. You tax people. You add the tax on, like they do on our regular cigarettes and our gasoline. You bury this bad thing in taxes. Source of income. Now, we have 5% of the world's population, but we've got 25% of the world's people in jail. We've got more people, we've got more people in jail. 25% of our population is in jail. Or we've got, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong again. We have 25% of the people in the world in jail are in this country in jail. 25% of the world's prisoners in our jails. Too much, because we throw people in jail for everything and anything today. We've got to look at this more clearly, because it comes down to an economic consideration. For every person in jail, the cost to maintain that prisoner for a year is $85,000. The states can't afford it. The federal government can't afford it. Jails are overcrowded. Court decisions are coming out every day saying you've got to dump a third of your jail population because the overcrowding violates the Constitution, cruel and inhuman treatment. We've got to do something. Let's start at the beginning where the arrests are made, and let's make these BS things, these marijuana possession charges for small amounts, not for bales of pot, an infraction. Slap somebody's wrist, fine them. But don't put them in jail. We're losing money all the way around. There are some states now that are privatizing their prisons. In other words, people bid on it and then run the prisons, an outside business. That's bad. And I'll get into this maybe next week's show or the week after. It's becoming an issue, and I think it should be discussed. But that's the story on the crimes in this country. This is not that criminal of a nation. It's our emphasis are in the wrong place, I think. I want to go to Nairobi. I want to go to North Africa. I want to go to the Kenya Mall where 74 people, I forget the number, 54. A large number of people were killed. And this mall is beautiful. Isn't it amazing, by the way? Whether it's Iran or whether it's Kenya, the malls all look the same. They look like our malls. The whole world lives the same unless they haven't had the opportunity to live like us. Beautiful mall. The terrorists took it over. You know all about it. What I want to point out to you, you may have missed it. The terrorists who took over that Kenya Mall and killed all those people, 2 of them were Americans. 2 of them were Americans. 1 was a British woman. 2 Americans and a British woman. Why do our people go to this? It's like a religion for them. Well, they become Muslims, Islamics. It's their religion now, and they find that better than whatever they had here, I guess. But I don't like it, and I'm sure you don't. 2 Americans and 1 British woman joined an Islamic terrorist group. I read somewhere this week, Minneapolis, Minnesota has a huge contingency of terrorists. I didn't get into the story deeply. I had other things going at the same time, but apparently there's a lot of people that belong, they aren't terrorists necessarily, but they were referred to as terrorists. They belong to a particular sect, not Al-Qaeda, and from that sect, some of the people came who were at the mall in Kenya. The United States enters into treaties with other countries. Well, we have an accord with Great Britain. It's put in writing. That's called a treaty. Anytime you have an agreement with another country, it is a treaty. The Constitution of the United States, since day one, when it was written, it's never been changed, is that any treaty entered into is only valid in the United States if 2/3 of the Senate approve it. 2/3, that means 67 people in the Senate. Can you get 67 votes today? 2/3 of the Senate, 67 senators, must approve it. Otherwise, no treaty. Something happened this week I don't understand. And I think this is lunacy and madness now, but it's interesting. John Kerry, our Secretary of State, has been at the UN negotiating the deal with the Russians over Syria, and this also came up. An arms treaty. An arms treaty to limit guns and get rid of certain guns all over the world. Over 100 countries are joined in and signed this thing, this treaty. And Kerry, our Secretary of State, signed it on behalf of the United States. Well, his signature means diddly-dip because he was a member of the Senate. It needs 2/3 vote of the Senate to be valid. Now, maybe he's going to carry it back and get it approved. He thought it was a routine matter. It isn't, and I'll tell you why. Guess who complained right away? The NRA. They have brought up a huge program to defeat this United Nations 100+ countries treaty to limit certain arms. Got it? The NRA are very voiceful here. And the Senate's in an uproar because this is our business, not for somebody else to approve, our business. And they're afraid. The NRA and those who support guns in the Second Amendment in the United States are afraid that this treaty, international treaty, will eventually affect gun ownership in the United States. So there's the NRA again. I don't think this thing will get 67 votes in the United States Senate. All right, we're into the last minute of the show. That's it for the week. I want to thank you very much for joining me. I enjoy doing the show. I'm happy to hear from you after the show. Many of you will email me or call me or something, and you'll say, I like this, I didn't like that, I agreed with this, I disagreed with that. I love it. Do whatever you want. I am happy to hear from you, however, because I'm happy and glad that you are watching the show. So have a good weekend. Stay healthy. Come visit us in Key West. It's about 88 degrees, the sun's shining, the weather's fantastic. We'd love to have you. That's it for this week, my friends.